Welcome everyone to the first session. Congratulations on navigating to the next link. It's always a little bit of a learning curve whenever you're doing something new, and I'm sure we're all learning lots of new things these days. I am so glad to be in this session, building enrollments, getting the word out. So I'm going to turn it over to the team that's presenting today. Matthew, Allison, and Julie, go right ahead.
Great, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today for your first breakout session. If you want to click to the next slide, Patsy. Great, so today we want to encourage your questions. And so to make sure that you use that chat box to help stimulate our conversation. Right now, all participants are muted, but if you want to share, we can unmute you, and you can definitely call our attention to that using that chat box. And there'll be some additional resources in this presentation at the end slide. So this is a good presentation to hold on to for your reference. If you want to go ahead to the next slide. So we'd like to extend a special thank you to the Atlas ACP team for really assisting. They're going to provide the technical assistance. So if there is any questions about your technology needs, please chat them to Patsy, and she will assist you in that. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. All right, so this presentation is actually 3 presenters working together from different vantage points. Julie Fietek from Alexandria area ABE, she's going to present from a manager's perspective and how to really highlight their online enrollment process and what they did to increase their online enrollment. I am Matthew Miller. I'm the volunteer and outreach coordinator from Metro North ABE. And I'll be looking how we use social media and how we've engaged new learners through social media. And Alison Wilcox from Metro South is the Career Pathways coordinator. And she'll be highlighting how she used their website to specifically support Career Pathways enrollment. All right, Patsy, if you want to go to the next slide, please. Excellent. So as an agenda of what we're going to accomplish today, we want to be able to share with you some of our common marketing tools. We also wanted to set some of the challenges that we've faced with this. This is a new thing for all of us, and we've come across some of those challenges, but it's also an opportunity. We wanted to share some of those successes with you. This is a great potential recruitment system that we're probably going to continue even after this pandemic passes. So we've learned a lot of the things, and we're looking forward to sharing those and building off of that work together. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. All right, now I'd like to introduce Julie, who's going to walk us through the first interactive session.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. To get us started today, we want to know who's joining us. And so in the chat, can you please tell us who you are, tell us what program you're with, and then what is one surprise benefit you've discovered in working from home? So I'm going to give you a minute to chat something out. Great. We have Metro North and Central out of Sauk Rapids. Welcome. Good to have you all. Hiawatha and dog walks. Good things that have come from being at home. Absolutely unlimited garlic. Great. I hope people in your house appreciate that too. We have the Department of Corrections. Wonderful. And Mankato and North Metro. Fantastic. All right, I can sing and no one complains. Fabulous. Keep singing loud. Do some dancing too is what I say. And we have Southwest ABE. Thanks for joining us. All right, and Ramsey County, Moorhead. All right, Roseville, thanks for coming today. North Metro, South Washington and Hastings, fabulous. All right, I definitely know. I appreciate my slippers on under my desk every day. All right. Well, we're glad you're all here today. Thanks for joining in. And this is definitely an interactive session. So we're going to appreciate you sharing and speaking as well today, because we're here to learn just as much from you as hopefully we can share in return. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Our objectives today are that we are really going to take a look at and keep in mind what are some of the challenges and opportunities that have come around our ACPs right now during this time. Keep in mind, you know, Alison, Matthew, and I are not experts, but we often feel like we are building the bridge as we are trying to walk across it. And so the examples of what you're going to hear today are really our attempts to meet the challenges that we've been faced with, just like all of you. They are all works in progress and they're constantly being revised. So as we talk today about challenges and opportunities with online enrollment and identify some platforms and tools that maybe, you know, we were using in the past and how we've tweaked them for today, we're also going to identify some other avenues for marketing that maybe we weren't using in the past, and identify potential systems of enrollment and class registration. Finally, we want to network with all of you around key questions and puzzles, knowing that this truly is a work in progress. All right. So when we think about marketing, some of the traditional paper-based in-house tools that we are currently using, things like brochures, class flyers, sign-up sheets, charts and guides, maybe orientation sessions or visits to class, some of the current things we're using, and I'm sure you have many others as well. We're going to move on. And so also over time, online marketing has emerged. We know things like social media, ABE websites, videos, digital flyers, and emails have all become really wonderful marketing tools. I know a lot more electronic things like texts have come into play for our program as well through like a Remind app. But all these are wonderful marketing tools. As we know, they are both time and cost effective. So no doubt you also are facing many challenges of how to market your ACPs. So again, we're going to ask you to chat and please share what challenges do you have marketing career pathways and enrollment right now? All right, learning how to use Facebook for advertising. I know for some of us, it really is learning some new tools, some online tools that maybe we've never used before. Reaching those that don't use Facebook, low literacy people, absolutely. You know, we have such a varied audience out there. We have to really vary our approaches and how we reach out to them as well. And then try to provide as many pathways to our front door as we can. Reaching those that don't use Facebook, we said, I don't think many people want to attend class on Zoom. Absolutely, we get that too. How do we know which student will be successful in the program, not drop out, be able to pass? Word of mouth was a big thing for us, but our students not being together is difficult. And I would agree that sentiment as we've started to do some in-person class again here, boy, we just see the students really craving that person-to-person connection. So, all right, thanks for sharing. I would like to next introduce Alison Wilcox from Metro South. In the next slides, Alison will talk about some of the ACP marketing challenges and opportunities. Alison.
Thank you, Julie. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that, my voice. Those were all very good comments about the challenges that we have marked online. I wanted to think about what are some of the challenges that our students have, and I'm sure you are all running into some of these challenges. Many of our students as we know, do not have access to devices or even the internet to access classes and information. Many students may not have the digital literacy skills. They're just developing. Some do, some don't. That's another challenge for them. Often our students, for example, at Metro South, we have a lot of students from Somalia and Ethiopia where oral language is often, just more heavily relied on. So these students, I think, have an extra challenge sometimes of accessing things online or through text. So something to keep in mind perhaps is, can we think about making the audio videos versus a lot of text for students? That's something to think about. Also, relationships with friends and family. So we know that our students have a lot of times a strong family friend network, and they find out about classes through that. But now we don't know if students are more isolated. So we have to find ways to reach students and tell them to tell their friends online. And students often, what we are running into at Metro South is how do students self-assess the appropriate level for enrolling in a career pathways class? They don't have access to their test scores. We have trouble testing, a lot of us, so this has become something we need to think about, is how do we know what level is appropriate for them, and that so they can self-assess also. And then finally, navigating career training and pathways. Before we had something in our hallway in a bulletin board, and now we need to put things online more so for students. Okay, next slide, please. Also, there are challenges for programs. I think I speak for probably many people that we need to have a new mindset to reach students and partners now. It's been a challenge not only to reach students, but a lot of our college partners, they're busy in meetings and with employers. We also need to learn new tools and platforms, learning management systems and websites. We also need to be cognizant that things take more time, and then therefore there might be maybe a lack of funding to properly build and support programming online. It's something we're all working through. So those are some of the challenges. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we have a question for participants. So for you all out there, what opportunities do you see opening up with marketing and enrollment online? We want to turn to the positive now. Do you see any positives in your program or further down the line? If you could just chat in, we can read that out. Okay, we have Margaret saying, I'm hoping things will be better online. There's a potential, Chelsea said there's a potential to reach a larger audience. That's very true. We can reach more people. Julie said going remote is great for many of our busy learners. Great ideas. So there is kind of a silver lining sometimes in this, even though it's a challenging transition. Karen Walters says we have our enrollment form online now, and they can call and then they can help them complete that and place them. It saves time. That's a great point, Karen, saving time. Some don't have transportation. That's always an issue. Childcare is also less of an issue from Lisa. Very good. Those are great, great opportunities. Yeah, the childcare is a good one. So we've kind of seen similar things. If we move to the next slide, thank you for all of those comments. So we've seen also similar things, like for example, for students, some opportunities for going online are better accessibility with the work life schedule, you know, childcare, transportation, and work. That's a potential there. Also, some students are more comfortable. We've gotten some feedback from students saying some of them are more comfortable online. It's just more convenient. They have a certain comfort level with taking classes that way. They also, another benefit is they're actually kind of in training to be an online student. So we know that colleges and training centers are starting to offer more classes online. And so if they learn through us the beginning of how to take a class online, then they'll be, that's a skill, digital literacy skill that they can carry forward into college. And finally, the students are strengthening their digital and ACES TIF skills by being able to learn into an online environment. Some examples are, for example, effective communication. They're learning netiquette, learning strategies in ACES TIF. They are learning organization and resourcefulness. In critical thinking, they're learning to solve problems and tech issues. They're also learning self-management, organization, monitoring their progress, time management, and also self-assessing themselves and exploring pathways online, navigating systems. Those are just some of the ACES TIF skills that are kind of built in now by moving things online. Okay, next slide. For opportunities for ACP programs, again, learning new tools and platforms, developing an online presence and brand, perhaps in your marketing. You can really start to think about how your online presence is out there on your website. Acquire skills to build or share program capacity for ACP. So we're definitely talking about getting new skills for our program and our people, and the potential to share either share students or, like Brad had mentioned, build more regional type relationships between partners and ABE. That's a potential. And finally, building seamless data and marketing systems. If we're thinking online, how to capture those systems in an easier, seamless way. Okay. Now I am happy to introduce Julie Fietek again, who was speaking earlier, and Julie.
All right, thanks, Alison.
Take it on.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Fietek. I'm really happy to share with you today. Please keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, each of the three presenters that are going to be sharing their stories today really have their unique way of how they've attempted to meet the current marketing and enrollment challenges during this time. And so while none of the things that we share today are a one-size-fits-all approach, you may just attempt something very different based on your very unique situation. So what I want to do is just encourage you to know that just jumping in and trying something new is key. I mean, we're in a time where we have great challenge, but I think that's an exciting time for great opportunity and strength. So creativity really comes out during times of challenge. So just as we encourage our learners in the learning process every day, like we tell them, don't be afraid to try and maybe fail or maybe succeed. More learning comes out of our failures than it does our successes. So I just want to encourage you to try something new, even if it's just one thing, and see what happens. All right, just a little background. Alexandria ABE is an adult basic ed consortium consisting of 11 school districts. We are spread out through 7 counties in west central Minnesota, and we also provide services at the Douglas County Jail. We go as far north as Parker's Prairie, on the south side to Hancock, and over on the west to Norcross, and on the east over to Melrose, and all the other points in between as are listed there. All right, so Alexandria ABE is a small consortium. A large part of our instruction is one-room schoolhouse, as well as offering ACP courses. Prior to COVID, we definitely had set processes for pulling in our learners with our advertising and determining if they were eligible by doing something called an initial interview. We also had a very set process for how we inform learners about our programs and guidelines through an informational meeting, and then getting them enrolled and assessed through intake and assessment sessions. Once COVID hit, we really needed to rethink all of these processes. Our promoting became greater emphasis on electronic and social media. Our initial interview, while we still could use phone, we no longer could have learners dropping in like we used to. As well, our information and intake meetings would all have to be entirely remote. And finally, assessment would have to change from paper and pencil to online testing. And so just like all of you, we had to step back and think about a lot of rethinking with our processes. We talked about rethinking promoting and advertising. We are looking for multiple avenues for learners to connect with us. And so of course our old ways, not that they're old, we still use them, of course, brochures and flyers, but our district website, social media and electronic forms, but really we knew now that there would have to be that greater emphasis on online and electronic approaches, which a lot of times, you know, quite frankly, the text and social media are what a lot of our learners respond to today. We had to rethink our assessments. This was essential. Without the ability to meet in person, we'd have to rethink how we were going to give those assessments. So no longer in person meant no more paper and pencil. We now transitioned to online e-tests and remote testing. We were fortunate because quite frankly, back in the fall, we were looking at this option. And so we started that process pre-COVID. And so we're kind of ready to jump into it and happy to say we're using it in full force right now. We also had to rethink our registration, and that's really the part that I'm going to share with you today. In rethinking our registration process, I just have to say our amazing ABE support staff and instructors really pulled together their different creativity and skills to come up with a solution. As I mentioned, we were no longer in person, and so they figured, and again, this is where I'm going to encourage you to pull in your team members because no one person can do this alone. I surely couldn't have done it alone. The solution that we came up with was to create an online registration website, and this website would be developed as a Google site using Google Forms for collecting data. And this is when, like I said, we pulled together our team to really come up with different ideas. We brainstormed what we wanted our basic website to look like. And then I'm just going to give so much credit to our support staff because Karen Timmerman is our really amazing support program specialist she is just an ace with technology and the internet. And so she crafted our new online registration website. And that's what I'm going to give you a quick overview of in the next few slides. So. All right, so our homepage includes a welcome video. There you see the bright smiling face of Karen, who is the creator of our website and our ABE support specialist. On the homepage, we have directions to the learners, which are both orally and in text form. And so we just wanted to keep this registration website clean and easy. We wanted it uncluttered and very simple to use. Our initial interview process, which used to be in person with paper and pencil, now became a Google form. Our informational session, again, in person and with paper and pencil, again, was now a collection of a Google form and Google documents and links where they would click to open them. Our intake meeting, which often was a in-person, face-to-face, reviewing lots of papers and getting folks to understand what our program's about and really the commitment they were going to make and what the expectations were of them, as well became documents that the learners had to read and review and then complete online. Now I know this is a lot of text-heavy reading for a lot of our learners, and as we speak, Karen is in the process of developing a Spanish version of our website. So hopefully we'll have that to use for a lot of our ESL folks. But still, are there things that we need to keep improving on? Absolutely. Our intake meeting as well became a Google form that they needed to complete. And then finally, we added a new item to the process, which was a technology form. This form really asks learners what their internet access is, if they have availability to devices, what kind of internet speed they had, and what was their comfort level for working distance learning. All this information really helps us decide, because as a program, we offer 3 modes of learning here. We offer distance learning, in-person instruction, or a combination of the 2. And so once we get the information from this technology access form, it really helps us kind of see which slot they're going to best fit into. All right, as I said, we continue to evaluate and refine the process, so it truly continues to be a work in progress. There are many things we still run up against, questions like, you know, we're moving from paper files. How do we now work with only electronic files? That's been a transition for our instructors. And what's the easiest way for those instructors to access that data? Again, they used to pull out a completed form and look at it. Now they're having to go on the computer to pull that down. And I have to say, you know, we're still not 100% remote. We are just at the beginning stages of starting to do remote assessment testing. And so eventually I know we'll get there. But again, it's progress in the right direction. And so if it's small or large, we just keep going forward and seeing what works and revising as we go along. So with that, I'll open it up for some questions. And I haven't been watching the chat, so if anybody wants to help out with that, that'd be great.
Julie, I've been watching the chat. This is Alison, and people are talking about what a great idea the registration form is that you have, and someone has copied your form.
Excellent.
They're talking about translations. Has anyone translated the registration forms into different languages? And Neighborhood House is one that has translated into Spanish. Yeah, so great ideas.
All right.
And Teresa Zingery said she likes the inclusion of the Panda form to your list on the website.
Again, what we're finding is as people come in, when they finally make that call, then to come in, we still have a in-person face-to-face with them, you know, and we get some signatures and we get things like birth date and social security number, which we don't ask online just for security reasons. That's really the next step that we take. But it's a matter of then reviewing all that information, which, like I said, we're kind of fine-tuning how that's all being pulled together.
Julie, there's a comment from Karen Walters that mentioned, she asked, has anyone created videos that describe programs such as GED or adult career pathways for their website? And I know this is something that we are working on with our new navigator this year, Karen. I think some sites have or are making videos related to those programs. If you want to chat in, if you have one, that would be great. And then C. Mualeski said, is the website listed off your main website or a completely different website?
Great
if
question.
So, how do people know where to find it?
Yeah, great question. So we are part of the school district website, and so there are live links from our main adult ed page in the school district, and so there's ways to link there, but it is a separate website from, you know, our regular presence on the school district site, and so both, you know, one will link to the other. Because I know the Google address for our site is not a user-friendly one by any means. And so it's just been a handy thing right off the school's website for them to click register here, and it brings them right to our Google site.
One quick comment is that, Julie, I put the link to Alexandria's, your APE link in the final resource page in case people kind of want to tap in and see what you've done there.
Perfect. Thanks so much for the questions, and I'm happy to share any of the resources as well. And next, I'm going to introduce our second presenter. We're going to move on. Our next presenter is Matthew Miller from Metro North, ABE, and he's going to highlight the use of Facebook in promoting ACPs. Take it away, Matt.
Great. Thanks,
Matthew,
Julie.
We're right at 10 o'clock. Just a little time check for you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Great. If we want to progress to the next slide. All right, so Metro North is a consortium of 8 school districts. So we're as south as Columbia Heights and as far north as St. Francis. We have a partnership with Anoka County, Anoka Ramsey Community College and Anoka Technical College, which is really our partners around our Career Pathways program. I want to go ahead to the next slide. So today I wanted to talk about our social media and how we have used this tool, but we really think of it as a tool. All of our marketing kind of starts with the Career Pathways Toolkit and their 7 steps on building strong enrollments. Today I'm going to look at 3 of those elements. So identifying a target population, determining recruitment sources and strategies, and choosing appropriate marketing tactics, and talk about how Metro North has used Facebook to help us achieve those 3 strategies. And for our reference, there'll be a link to this Atlas workshop at the end of this presentation as well. We're going to go ahead to the next slide. All right, so there are many social media platforms, and I think that's one of the things that we recognize is that we can't do them all, and we shouldn't try to do them all. Metro North focused on Facebook for 3 reasons. We did a survey of students and we found that about 2/3 of our students use Facebook. While many use different platforms, that was the one common thread that they continue to use Facebook. That the functionality of Facebook by having ongoing posts, but also the events and the live stream video was something that we felt was could help us in a rounded way around our whole program. And the platform does translate posts. So if you are a native speaker, you can see the post translated as best as that algorithm can do. Okay, if we want to go to the next slide. All right, so I just want to review a couple of key terms or points about Facebook. So Facebook makes a distinction between what is a profile and what is a page. A profile is a person like me. I have a profile that I use to access our Metro North page. A page is an organization. So that could be a program you create. You can create pages. That's easy to do. But we just have one page for our Metro North ABE. Facebook charges based on the number of people who react to your post. So when you're using a fee-based advertising system, Facebook charges based on the people who react to it. And finally, a distinction between what is a boost and what is an ad. A boost is taking one of your posts, one of the things that you've created already on your page, and trying to spread that to people who are not followers of your page. An ad is a unique post or text and photo that can go to a wide audience, but people won't see that on your page. And so that's one of the key things to look at is that Facebook only advertises to those who follow your page. If you want to move beyond those who are already following you, you need to use this ad service. If we want to go to the next slide. Great, so I want to look at those 3 steps again, and we'll look back at identifying the target population and how Metro North does that. Next slide, Patsy, thanks. So first, as I said, that Facebook is not going to replace our strategy and our team coming together. We really need to have a team come together and make a plan. So for this demonstration, I just kind of created a serve save class and used how we would approach making a advertisement for this class. So the first thing we need to do is kind of define who our audience was. And we'd look at teachers and program managers and hear from student voices and past students. And so we would create what we mean by what is our target audience. And so thinking about this class, we would say it's people who are not in high school, who do not have a college degree. We wanted to limit to those who just live in Anoka County, which is the largest county that we serve. And then those who might work in the food service industry or expressed an interest in food. So our team gets together first and kind of strategizes about what is that audience. And then we move to Facebook to help us build that audience. I want to go ahead to the next page. So on your Facebook page, and this is the Metro North page, there's some columns on the left that's Ad Center. And when you click on that, there'll be two drop-down tabs. One is called Audience. And when you click on that audience, you'll be able to create a new audience. And when you first hit that button, create a new audience, and you make no categories or you make no restrictions, your audience will be 230 million people. And that is all Facebook. So as I said, that when Facebook charges you based on those who interact, you want to make sure that your ads are really going to a smaller group of people that is going to generate a much more promising result for enrollment in our Career Pathways programs. So Facebook allows you to narrow that audience down based on gender, on age, on geography, and they also allow you to include people and exclude people. Okay? So if you want to go to the next page, and I'll talk more about that include and exclude. So Facebook has some very kind of clear categories of who to include and exclude. So they look at demographics, and they look at interests and behaviors. And so the program was able to create people who kind of have responded to that in some way to indicate that they fit under that category. Within each one of those three is further subcategories to look at: education, financial, life events, parents are some of the things that happen in the demographics. The interest column can give you business and interest or things that people are interested in. And there's even some things on behavior. So you can look at those who might follow or observe Ramadan as well. I want to go to the next slide. So in our target audience, we were looking for those people who would be interested in our Serve Safe class. So we chose not to limit by age or gender. We wanted that to be really broad, but we did look at focusing on just geographic area. So we looked at Anoka County. Then we looked at people who indicated that they worked in the food and restaurant industry. And that's people that we wanted to include in our audience. But we excluded people who had an associate's degree, college graduate, doctorate degree, or were currently in high school, as well as some other education filters. And this allowed us to narrow our audience down to 1,100 people. So we moved from 230 million to 1,100. This was able to get a much kind of more concise audience, and that's how we were able to kind of narrow that down and really find this is the group of people we want to target to. Great, Patsy. Yeah, if you want to go to the next slide, that's great. Thanks. So once we have our audience, the next step to do is to determine our recruitment sources and strategies. So that's actually creating the post or the ad that we would like to use. If you want to go ahead, Patty. Great. So the first thing that Facebook is going to ask you to do when you create an ad, or if you want to boost a post, is what is your intention? Do you want to get more leads? So that means you actually identify that Facebook user. Do you want to just boost a post? So you have something that you think is really great, like sometimes our graduation video is something we might want to boost. Do you want to promote your Facebook page? So you want people to start to follow you more. And we talked about how the more people that follow you, you can then kind of advertise new classes to for free. Do you want to promote your business locally? So you're looking just geographically, or do you want people to go to your website or a different website? So you have to have that strategy about what is the thing you want people to do. And Facebook calls that a call to action. And so you need to identify what that is. For this example, and one of the things that Metro North does the most is look at trying to kind of build a contact list. So using our email software program, we create a small survey, and that becomes the website we have people linked to. And it basically asks just a name, an email, maybe a phone number. And we do that because it allows us to follow up with them multiple times for free. So maybe they weren't ready to take the Serve Safe class this time, but the next time it's offered, I can email them and not have to pay for that ad. And I know I have a targeted audience there. It also allows me to kind of forward on their contact information to our enrollment staff so that they can follow up. So that's one of the things that Metro North has used really successfully on Facebook. All right, if you want to go to the next slide. So when you create that ad, one of the things that Facebook is going to ask you to do is, what is that call to action button going to do? And you could see, if you see in ads, there's usually a button in the lower right that asks you what you want to do. And we usually do apply now, so people can really kind of quickly link to maybe that online enrollment system that Julie was talking about, or if we want them to learn more and kind of contact us. So those things are the things that you need to decide. Great. If you want to go to the next slide. Great. So after you have created that ad, the sixth step in this process is to really choose your appropriate marketing tactics. So if we go to the next slide, Patsy. So one of the things that is really great about Facebook is it allows you to have a chance to collect some data and help analyze those questions. So we might want to know, did we choose the right audience? Did we make the right selections? Did this ad have sufficient response? Did we actually get people connected? Is it worthwhile doing? And were we successful in communicating the best way? Do people understand? Were their expectations met through our advertisement? So what you can see that Facebook provides is the data to help us answer those questions. Look at the next slide, Patsy. So this is some demographic data on an ad that we ran before. So this ad ran for about 2 weeks. It reached about 1,167 people. We had 20 people of those 1,000 that responded to the link and clicked on that. So that cost us just a little bit more than $1 a piece. So we spent $26.99 to run this ad for 2 weeks and to get those 20 responses. So I could look at that and say, that's a pretty good reaction. I feel like it's a pretty good thing for a class. Because this is for a specific class. So that's great that we've got 20 people who are kind of interested in the class. But then when I look at my demographic data, I could see from these bar graphs that I was able to get a lot of young people, but it started to taper off as my students, potential students, were older. And so I might think, well, maybe this is something where I need to either change my Facebook ad to appeal to older students, or that Facebook just isn't the right tool to reach them. I also see from this that I have women on the left and men on the right, and I see that I got very few reactions from men. So I might want to go back and look at how this ad might appeal to men, and I might change how I made this advertisement or constructed this post. Or maybe there's something about my my audience that I chose that's clearly not reaching that group. So I might want to go back and think about how I can change my ad to be more successful with that group. Okay. I'm going to go to the next slide. Right, so I think that I know it's kind of a quick run through on a very complex topic, but I hope I can answer your questions.
Matthew, if you don't mind, I could read some of the chat.
Yep, that'd be great.
Julie Dinkow was asking if you had to work with the school district and their policies before marketing on Facebook, and are there any concerns regarding using social media to market?
Yes to both of those. So I think one of the things that when you create a page and you connect with Facebook, they do ask for some kind of social media policy. So many of our sites have that already. So anytime you are gathering student information, what is your obligation as a group to hold that information confidential, to not sell your list to somebody else? And so you usually create a social media policy, and that's already on our website. So we just use that same language that said, this is our agreement. And I think for our concerns about social media, we were, we do keep that in mind. And we, one of the things that we need to do is when we start using posts from students or talk about students, that we make sure we monitor the conversations with that. So we have some security protocols that comments have to be approved before they are posted. So there are some things we put in place to make sure that we are monitoring that site.
Thank you, Matt. There's another question. There are two people asked about the fees again. Is there an initial fee for the service, or is it just as people click on the link, you're charged each time?
Correct. So there's no initial fee. Often you might have to have a credit card number to set up some of this, but there's no initial fee there. You are just charged when people interact with your posts. And I see Julie asked about followers versus advertisers. So one of the things that we do is we might create a unique ad that goes to people who are not our current followers. But we definitely would post that new class opportunity on our website, on our Facebook page, which doesn't cost us anything. And you can make those same links to get people connected to that opportunity.
And finally, Julie asked, did you see an increase in enrollment?
We haven't done a final analysis of that. And because that is connecting two different databases, and we want to we want to make sure that we're being mindful of people's confidentiality, and so we don't have them totally linked. So we need to probably do some surveys, and we continue to monitor through SID how people heard about our program, and so we're looking for an increase in that. But that if there's been any increases, it's been a very small percentage, because I think we haven't really used it in a broad scope now, and we might see that more now under these current circumstances. Okay, I think if that's everyone's questions, thank you very much. I want to get a chance to introduce Alison, who's going to tell us more about how she has used her website and online.
Thank you, Matt.
Alison, we're just about 10:20.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. So hello, everyone. I think Julie and Matt, that was such good information that you have. I'm here to mainly talk about Metro South ABE and how we are highlighting one special tool we're using right now, which is something I'll talk about. Let's go to the next slide, please. Metro South ABE serves a consortium cities of Bloomington, Richfield, Edina, and Eden Prairie. We also have many students that come in from other areas, even as far south as Burnsville, Apple Valley. So we have a larger area we serve. We have been running career pathways, the program since 2011. We have 9 career pathway classes in 4 career clusters. For example, career development, transportation, healthcare, business, and education. Next slide, please. I just want to back up and just say we also use, like Julie, kind of an online registration system. We've moved everything online, and we've also used Facebook, but not in the way yet that Matt has explained, Matthew. That's something that we'd like to learn more about, so I really thank Matthew also for talking about that. Today, one of the things that we have created is a new Career Pathways website. And this website lives on our metrosouth.org main school website. We put a link to this new Career Pathways website on the metrosouth.org Career Pathways tab or menu page, so that there's a green button, and when a student goes to our general website and clicks on Career Pathways, there's a big button that they click on. It says click here for our new Career Pathways website. So this exists as a Google site right now, which is linked through our main website. And you can see kind of the home page there. So anyone can create a website like this through Google Sites. And if you are not, if you feel that, you know, you might want to get a techie person to do this too, if you're not comfortable doing that, anyone can. It's fairly easy actually to do, but just wanted to mention that if you're not comfortable, you can always find someone to help you. Okay, next page, please. So the first thing when we started the website was to keep in mind that we have a brand, which is called Metro South Career Pathways, and you can see our logo there. And we wanted to remain consistent with the colors and the logo, so that our students, you know, understand it's a brand we're creating here. They can get familiar with that. So brochure, class flyer, website, whatever we create, we try to stay with a brand logo and colors. So we, some suggestions if you are creating more student-friendly marketing, especially now online. We want to be cognizant that students will be accessing this even more, and we want to make sure that we have kind of a streamlined design. We've tried to add more visuals. We're still working on that. We're still working on capturing, you know, capturing student interest with, for example, a career pathway interest form they can complete there, a student testimonial or career videos they can access, pictures, resource links, and things like that. We also show benefit. We want to show a benefit for their time and effort of taking a career pathway class. So we definitely, I think we're all doing this, showing industry certifications, skills training, pathways to advance, how to access a navigator somehow. If you don't have your own navigator, where can they access a navigator? Also guest speakers. We have guest speakers that are coming into our Google Meets now from the industry. And finally, it's really great if you can show how to navigate the college and job system. So if there are pathway charts that you have, that's helpful. Links to colleges and jobs that are in your area, those types of things are very helpful, I think. Okay, next one. So on our Career Pathways website, students can complete an interest form, look up class information, requirements, and schedules. They can find everything there. They can sign up for classes using an eligibility chart and then a Google form. They can find career navigator information, and many other resources. We have career and community resources on this page for people. Next one, please. Teachers can go to the website and look around. So we want to orientate our teachers to the website so that they can also kind of help our students navigate the site. Teachers can introduce their site to their students while they're in a Google Meet, which is a really great way to help students start to feel comfortable with the new website. Teachers can also link the site to their Google Classroom, and this is really important when we are recruiting in particular classes to make sure that students know exactly in their Google Classroom they're eligible for like any nursing assistant prep. So we would recruit in those classes and then just say go right to the link in your Google Classroom and you can register there if you are eligible. And then finally, career pathway teachers and the navigator can access and use many of the resources there for their classes. For example, we have pages and really good links for information on employability skills, community resources, career planning resources, a page on why college, which is really important, and finally a job board there as well. Okay, next page, please. And here is, so this, we made the website in the screencast linked to, again, as I mentioned, the metrosouth.org website, our main website. We also put it in the new student orientation slideshow, which teachers show when the classes begin. And finally on teachers' Google Classrooms, as I mentioned. But I thought if we could just play the screencast, we made an orientation for students about kind of how to register and navigate the site. It's about 3 minutes, and I'm hoping we have time just to play maybe part of it. Patsy or Marissa?
Hello everyone, this is Alison, and I'm here to talk to you about the Metro South Career Pathways website. This is a new website that will help you learn about what classes we offer in healthcare, business computer, transportation maintenance, education human services, and navigator and other career and community resources. This website has the homepage here. You can see with the underline here. On this homepage, it talks about the classes in general, and it shows you tells you how to sign up for class and also figure out what class you are eligible for right here. The first thing you will do is, if you are a Metro South student, you will go into find your class here and find which class are you in. For example, you may be in Melissa's day class here, or maybe you're an adult diploma. You would be here in group 6. Once you find your group and you find what class you're in, you can see the fall classes here that you're eligible for, the spring classes you're eligible for. And then if you, let's say you are in Libby's evening class and you are eligible for nursing assistant prep, you would first find out more information about that class. You go up to healthcare here, click on the class information, nursing assistant prep, and then each class has the class description.
Thank you, Patsy. I know we're running out of time here. The website, if you would like to look at the website on your own time, I know we've run out of time. I can put that in the chat here. There's the site. And so basically we have everything on there. We just need to have students get used to the site and learn how to navigate that. So we have systems to help students do that right now.
So right now, I know we're running out of time, but are there any quick questions from anyone? And that's okay if there isn't. It's hard to know if there's any question. You might not have a question yet because you haven't really seen the website anyway. So for the sake of time, we can move on. And the next slide on page, yep, thank you, Patsy. Other avenues for marketing, I'll be kind of quick with this, so please bear with me. So again, informing our community partners about our upcoming classes. I've already sent emails out to all our partners and community career force about our upcoming classes like nursing assistant prep. Also, you can label ACP classes in SID for the Minnesota Literacy Hotline. This is also linked to Career Force Minnesota and under your ABE listing. So that's might be another topic if anyone wants to look into that, but just making sure that you label those classes in SID, and Minnesota Literacy Hotline will pick that up to advertise that. Okay, the next slide, please. Finally, yeah, Matthew, I don't know if you want to facilitate this.
Yeah, and we're actually at 10:31, so we need to skip this part if
okay,
you want to go to
yeah,
the end.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully you learned, you had a takeaway from this. There's a lot of information, I know. There are some resources linked in the folder as well as on the slide here. The next and the last slide is just a thank you. And if you would like to contact any of us, we would be happy to discuss or brainstorm ideas with you as well. So thank you so much for attending today.
Great, thanks everyone. And I'm just chatting out links to our 1045 sessions, which are also on your flyer. And again, here's the link for that flyer. Thanks so much to all of our presenters, and we'll see everyone at 10:45 for either yes, you can fund your career pathway or dare to be data driven.
Okay, thank you to our presenters. We'll see you in the next one.